Now let me tell you something very important. Up to the prepare phase, we set the mindset. In the explore phase, we made decisions. But in the realize phase,
SAP becomes real. This is the phase where most SAP professionals feel comfortable because finally we are doing actual SAP work. Configuration, development, testing, data, integrations. But let me be very honest here. The realize phase is also where many Greenfield projects quietly lose control. Not because people don't work hard, but because they forget the principles of SAP Activate and slip back into old habits. So in this section, I want you to think not like a configurator, but like a delivery professional responsible for outcomes. Let's deeply understand what the realize phase really means in SAP Activate, how sprint-based execution works in a Greenfield project, and how this phase transforms blueprint decisions into a working, validated SAP system.
Now let's pause for a moment and really understand what the realize phase actually means in SAP Activate. Because this is where many SAP professionals think they are doing the right thing, but unknowingly carry old project habits with them. In traditional SAP projects, especially during the ECC era, the realize phase was treated very simply. The mindset was, we already have the blueprint, so now we just build whatever is written in it. That approach worked in a world where requirements were frozen, systems were stable, and customization was expected. But in today's SAP landscape, especially in Greenfield S/4HANA projects, this thinking is outdated and dangerous. SAP Activate completely redefines what realize means in SAP Activate. The realize phase in SAP Activate is not about blindly building. It is about progressively building, continuously validating, correcting early, and stabilizing the solution step by step. This is a very important shift. Instead of assuming the solution is correct just because it was documented in Explore, the realize phase constantly asks one critical question. Is the solution we agreed in Explore actually working in SAP the way the business needs it? And notice the wording here, working in SAP. Not just approved on paper, not just discussed in workshops, but actually functioning correctly in the system. This is why everything in the realize phase is execution with validation, not execution in isolation. Configuration is immediately tested, developments are verified in context, integrations are validated end-to-end, and business users start seeing real outcomes instead of promises. In SAP Activate, realize becomes the proof phase. It proves that decisions made in Explore were correct. It proves that fit to standard works. And it proves that the system can support real operations. This is also why Activate promotes sprint-based execution in the realize phase. Work is not done all at once. It is done in small, controlled increments with constant feedback and adjustment. When realize is executed correctly, problems surface early when they are small and manageable. Confidence builds progressively, and by the time the project reaches deploy, nothing feels new or risky anymore. So remember this. In SAP Activate, the realize phase is not just the build phase. It is the phase where decisions are validated, quality is ensured, risks are reduced, and the solution becomes stable and trustworthy. If the realize phase is rushed, uncontrolled, or disconnected from validation, the project will struggle later, no matter how good the planning was. But when realize is executed with discipline, transparency, and continuous validation, it becomes the strongest bridge between design and successful go-live. That is what the realize phase truly means in SAP Activate. Sprint-based execution, the backbone of the realize phase. Now, let's talk about something that completely separates old SAP projects from SAP Activate projects, and that is how work is actually executed during the realize phase. In traditional SAP implementations, work was done in one long build cycle. Teams configured everything, developed everything, and only at the end did they start testing. That approach created stress, late surprises, and panic near go-live. SAP Activate completely breaks this habit. In Activate, the realize phase follows agile sprint-based execution. That means work is divided into short, time-boxed sprints, usually 2 to 3 weeks, with a very clear goal for each sprint. Each sprint is expected to deliver working functionality, not partial work, not assumptions, but something that actually runs in SAP. What makes this powerful is continuous testing. As soon as something is built or configured, it is tested. And just as importantly, it is shown to the business early and often. Business users don't wait until the end of the project to see SAP. They see it evolving sprint by sprint. This approach prevents the classic SAP mistake. Let's build everything first and test later. Instead, SAP Activate follows a much safer rule. Build a little, test immediately, validate with business, and then move forward. Because validation happens early, problems are found early, changes are cheaper, feedback is faster, and confidence grows naturally over time. Sprint-based execution dramatically reduces rework, late surprises, and the stress and chaos typically seen close to go-live. This is why sprint-based execution is not just a technique in SAP Activate. It is the backbone of a stable, predictable realize phase. Now let's talk about something very practical and very important, the SAP system landscape and the realize phase. In every SAP project, we talk about development, quality, and production systems. But in Greenfield SAP Activate projects, the system landscape is not just a technical setup, it is a control mechanism. During the realize phase, the full landscape is established. You have a development system where configuration and builds happen, a quality system where testing and validation take place, and a production system prepared carefully for go-live. But here's the key difference. In Greenfield Activate projects, these systems are not treated as independent silos. They are tightly connected through governance and discipline. Every configuration change, every development object, every transport follows a defined path. Nothing moves randomly, nothing is quick-fixed directly in the system. Sign-offs are linked to transports, and testing results drive movement across the landscape. This controlled setup ensures configuration remains clean and traceable, development is approved and documented, testing environments remain stable, and movements across systems are predictable. Why does this matter so much? Because without this discipline, projects quickly fall into chaos. Configuration conflicts appear, defects multiply, testing becomes unreliable, and deployment turns risky. SAP Activate emphasizes a purpose-driven system landscape because it understands one reality. If system discipline is weak, delivery discipline collapses. A well-governed SAP landscape during the realize phase protects the project, the team, and the business from avoidable risk and sets the stage for a smooth, confident go-live. Now that the system landscape is in place, the realize phase truly begins with what we call baseline configuration. Baseline configuration is the moment when SAP starts behaving like a real system, not just an installed environment. This is where core SAP best practice settings are activated, standard organizational structures are created, and the basic end-to-end business processes are enabled for the first time. It is very important to understand one thing here. Baseline configuration is not the final design. It is intentionally minimal and standard-driven. Its role is to establish a working SAP system quickly, so teams can start testing, understanding process flow, and validating assumptions made during the explore phase. This early activation allows immediate visibility of real business processes, early testing of core scenarios, confirmation that basic configurations are correct, and identification of gaps at a manageable stage. Without baseline configuration, teams would delay testing and fall back into documentation and assumptions, exactly what SAP Activate is designed to avoid. You should think of baseline configuration as switching on the SAP engine. Once the engine is running, you can fine-tune performance, make adjustments, and add enhancements. But without this first ignition, nothing moves forward effectively. Baseline configuration sets the foundation on which every sprint, every test cycle, and every improvement in the realize phase is built. Once the baseline configuration is stable and core processes are running, the project moves into what we call final configuration. This is the stage where SAP's system begins to closely reflect the real operational needs of the business. In this phase, teams address the approved gaps from the explore phase. Configuration is carefully fine-tuned, country-specific rules are applied, and valid business exceptions are handled with precision. This is also where regulatory requirements, taxation rules, and company-specific controls are aligned within SAP. But let me be very clear here. This is also the most dangerous zone of the realize phase. Why? Because once the system starts working, teams often feel tempted to add one more customization, revisit already approved decisions, tweak standard processes unnecessarily, and bend SAP to old legacy habits. If this phase is not strictly governed, the project quietly drifts away from standard, and technical debt begins to accumulate. That is why strong governance is absolutely critical during final configuration. Every change must be justified, approved, and aligned with the principles agreed in Explore. The rule does not change, no matter how urgent a request sounds. Standard first, configuration second, extension only when required, custom code as the last and rare option. When this discipline is maintained, final configuration delivers true business fit without compromising future upgrades or system stability. In Greenfield SAP Activate projects, development does exist, but it follows a very important rule. It is controlled, not creative. Unlike traditional projects where custom code was freely added, SAP Activate enforces discipline around development. Custom work is limited to what is truly required for business operations, not what is simply convenient or familiar. Development typically includes interfaces with external systems, essential reports and forms, and enhancements that were explicitly approved during the Explore phase. Nothing enters development informally or casually. SAP Activate is very strict about this. There is no...
Hope you're enjoying this SAP Activate tutorial. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. Contend, I reply to everyone.
Thanks for watching. I hope this session helped you understand SAP Activate better. If you have questions, comment below. I'm here to help. And make sure to subscribe to PMmentor for more expert SAP and project management tutorials.